6D for dog, 7D for dog, 8D for dog, 9C, and 10A. Once again, chapter 19, review homework questions. Number 1A, 2B boy, 3A, excuse me, 4C, 5C, 6D dog, 7D for dog, 8D for dog, 9C, and 10A. For chapter 20, excuse me, the answers to your homework is number 1, B for boy, 2, C, 3, B for boy, 4, B for boy, 5, C, 6, B as in boy, 7, C, 8, D as in dog, 9, B for boy, and 10, B for boy. Again, chapter 20, the homework answers are number 1, B boy, 2, C, 3, B boy, 4, B for boy, 5, C, 6, B boy, 7, C, 8, D dog, 9, B boy, and 10, B boy. And for chapter 21, the answers to the homework quiz was number 1, C, 2, D as in dog, 3, C, 4, B for boy, 5, B for boy, 6, D as in dog, 7, B for boy, 8, B for boy, 9, B for boy, and 10, C. Again, chapter 21 homework answers are number 1, C, 2, D as in dog, 3, C, 4, B boy, 5, B boy, 6, D dog, 7, B boy, 8, B for boy, 9, B boy, and 10, C. Were there any questions on the homework from last night? A couple of you, so I'll wait. Unit 19, number 9 was C. How about chapters 16, 17, and 18? I'm sure Miss Cora must have reviewed it yesterday with you, did she not? 9A. 9A what? I don't know what 9A means. The calendar says review test ends at 11:30. Did you say we'll be done around noon? Around noon to 12:15, that's correct. No, she did not. Okay, here's chapters 16, 17, and 18 real quick. So let me moderate the conversation, get this to you. 16. For 16, the answers are, and by the way, you can always go to recareercenter.com/homework and look up the answers. Number 1, B boy, 2A, 3C, 4A, 5B for boy, 6B for boy, 7D for dog, 8B for boy, 9D for dog, and 10C. For chapter 17, number 1 was A, number 2 was B for boy, 3 was B for boy, and so was 4B for boy. 5C, 6C, 7C, 8B for boy, 9C, and 10B for boy. And chapter 18, number 1, C, 2, D for dog, 3A, 4C, 5C, 6A, 7C, 8C, 9B as in boy, and 10D for dog. Was there any other questions before we are ready to start our review? Not seeing any, let me moderate the conversation. And here we go, guys. If you're ready, it's time to do our review. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce the first number 1 through 55 review questions that will get 1 minute to answer each. Now, we'll have a couple math questions. They don't have any time limit, but I will work the math questions out with you. However, all other answers will be given 1 minute to respond to. Now, I would appreciate it if those who are online with us would participate in the review. It's not required to do so by answering the questions. But if you're not trying to test your knowledge, then why are you here? Just for hours? Not a good plan, guys. You should be doing everything you can to test every limit you have to get this stuff correct. So here we go. If you're ready, I'm ready. And I'm going to pull up the review chapter in just a second, as soon as I can get it lined up here. Questions number 1 through 55. Here we go. All right, got to pull up my timer for this. There we go. Question number 1. 2 men own a parcel of land as joint tenants. One of them dies, and his will stipulates that in his interest will pass to his wife and upon her death to his children. What type of estate do the children have? Two men own a parcel of land as joint tenants. One of them dies, and his will stipulates that his interest will pass to his wife, and upon her death to his children. What type of estate do the children have? 10 seconds. Time's up. Stop your question responses. And 20, well, about half the class is responding. But those who did respond, 40% of you were correct in answering D for dog. No estate. It was a joint tenant. Survivors get the shares. Number 2, something of value offered by one party and accepted by another as inducement to perform is called something of value offered by one party and accepted by another as inducement to perform is called 10 seconds. Time's up. Of those who did respond, 60% of you are correct, answering D for dog, consideration. Still left less than half the class is responding to the review. It's up to you guys. I'd be testing myself every which way I could. Number 3, the unities of time, title, interest, and possession are directly connected with The unities of time, title, interest, and possession are directly connected with it's chilly in here today. 10 seconds. Time is up. And from those who responded, 50% of you are correct, answering D for dog, joint tenancy. Number 4, most agency relationships in real estate transactions are most agency relationships in real estate transactions are 10 seconds. All right, time's up. And more folks are participating. I guess they just needed that extra cup of coffee to get going. And from those who responded, 57% of you are correct, answering A, special agencies. Correct, A. Number 5, a seller's broker must transmit to her principal a seller's broker must transmit to her principal ten seconds. And it looks like several more people have just joined us in the last minute or two. Guys, we do start at 9. Time is up. The answer, of which 85% of you are correct, is D, all written offers. Yes, D for dog. Number 6, if the owner of a property sell it themselves, even though they have an exclusive agency listing with a broker, they owe the broker if the owners of a property sell it themselves, even though they have an exclusive agency listing with a broker, they owe the broker ten seconds. Time is up. Pens down. Well, you don't have pens, you have mouses. And from those who responded, 48% of you are correct, answering D, no commission. Remember, an open listing and an exclusive agency listing, sellers have a right to sell it themselves and pay no commission. Number 7. Oops, I'm sorry. Which of the following does not hold a leasehold estate? Which of the following does not hold a leasehold estate? 10 seconds. Time is up. Excuse me. And 35% of you are correct, answering B for boy, a life tenant. If you recall, life tenant is a freehold interest, not a leasehold interest. Number 8. A loan used for temporary financing is a loan used for temporary financing is a 10 seconds. Time's up. And 67% of you did answer correctly. C, a construction loan. Remember, a construction loan is an interest-only loan until the job is complete. Number 9, Regulation Z requires the disclosure of which of the following? Regulation Z requires the disclosure of which of the following? Ten seconds. Time is up. And from those who responded, 44% of you are correct, answering B for boy, the annual percentage rate. Many of you did respond with RESPA, which is the Real Estate Settlement Procedures Act, and is not correct. Number 10, in a sale leaseback arrangement, the 10 seconds. Time is up. And from those who responded, 62% of you are correct, answering C. The grantor, the seller, becomes the lessee, the tenant. C was correct. Number 11. A man and a woman are not married but own property together. The man dies in an accident and the woman now owns the property in severalty. The man and woman must have held title in what? It's chilly in this room, boy. I got the heat cranked, but it's been cold here for 2 days. It's warming up slowly. A man and a woman are not married but own property together. The man dies in an accident and the woman now owns the property in severalty. The man and the woman must have held title in ten seconds. Time is up, and 64% of respondents got it correct as D, joint tenants, right of survivorship. Number 12, when a lease provides that the lessee shall be responsible for all expenses, it is known as when a lease provides that the lessee shall be responsible for all expenses, it is known as 10 seconds. Time is up. And from those responding, 63% are correct, answering C, a net lease. Correct, a net lease. Number 13, the lease. That requires no advance notification to terminate it at the end of its term is called the lease that requires no advance notification to terminate it at the end of its term is called 10 seconds. Time is up. And for those who responded, 53% of you are correct, answering C, an estate for years. No termination notice required. Number 14, the clause in a mortgage that provides for the entire balance of the mortgage loan to be immediately due and payable because of the owner's default is called the clause in a mortgage that provides for the entire balance of the mortgage loan to be immediately due and payable because of the borrower's default is called 10 seconds. Time is up, and it is called, of which 72% of you got correct. C, an acceleration clause. Number 15, a contract that has been fully performed by the parties is called a contract that has been fully performed on by the parties is called 10 seconds. Okay, time's up. And the answer is 86% of you are correct, answering C, an executed contract. Number 16, the cost approach would most likely be used for which of the following? The cost approach would most likely be used for which of the following? Ten seconds. Time is up. And the answer of which 35% of you got correct was C, a public building. It's unique. You can't compare it to other public buildings for sale, and it doesn't generate income. So you'd use the cost approach. Number 17, excuse me, which of the following liens takes precedent over all the others? Which of the following liens takes precedence over all the others? Ten seconds. Time is up, and 40% of you got it correct, which was C, delinquent special assessment charge, which is a public tax on your property and must be paid before any mortgages. C. Number 18, if an owner in severalty dies testate, the property will be If an owner in severalty dies testate, the property will be. Ten seconds. Time is up. The property will be, 40% of you are correct, answering B for boy. Probated and passed on to the owner's devisees. Devisees are people named under a will, and if they had a will, they died testate. If there was no will, it was intestate, and then the court, probate, would appoint an administrator to find any heirs. So B for boy was correct. Number 19, if a certain income producing property has a high degree of risk to the potential investor, the capitalization rate used will tend to be. If a certain income producing property has a high degree of risk to the potential investor, the capitalization rate used will tend to be. Five seconds. Missed the 10-second cutoff. Time is up, and 42% of the total answered correctly B for boy, higher, thus producing a lower value. Correct. B for boy. Number 20. In a blanket mortgage, what clause gives the developer the right to sell an individual lot without having to pay off the entire principal amount? In a blanket mortgage, what clause gives the developer the right to sell an individual lot without having to pay off the entire principal amount? Ten seconds. Excuse me. Still chilly in here. Ooh. Time's up. And the answer, of which 70% of you got correct, is C, a partial release clause. That is correct. Good job. Number 21, the smallest unit of measure in a rectangular survey system is known as a, and you guys just had this yesterday with Miss Cora, didn't you? The smallest unit of measure in the rectangular survey system is known as a. Ten seconds. Time is up. And from those who responded, 72% of you are correct, answering B, a section. A section is 1 mile by 1 mile. Number 22. A woman gives a parcel of land to a man with an express condition in the deed that if the man builds an office building on the land, the parcel will revert to the woman. This is an example of a. A woman gives a parcel of land to a man with an express condition in the deed that if the man builds an office building on the land, the parcel will revert to the woman. This is an example of a. 10 seconds. Time is up. And only 13% of us got it correct. The answer is B as in boy, fee simple determinable. It is not just the deed restriction because it has a reversion clause, makes it a fee simple determinable, a conditional interest in property. And if that condition is violated, then the property goes back to the original owner. Therefore, B is correct. 23. If a woman is legally occupying and using a single-family structure, her interest in the real estate could not be or not include which of the following? Oh boy. If a woman is legally occupying and using a single-family structure, her interest in the real estate could not include which of the following? Time's up. And 71% of you got it correct. C, estate at sufferance. It could not be because she's there legally with permission. Number 24, TRID considers a loan application complete when the borrowers. Excuse me. TRID considers a loan application complete when the borrowers. Ten seconds. Time's up. The answer of which 48% of you got correct is D, submit the alien's information to the lender. Number 25, a court decree which declares that an individual is indebted to another and fixes the amount of the debt is called a. A court decree which declares that an individual is indebted to another and fixes the amount of the debt is called a. Time is up. And 65% of you are correct answering C, a judgment. Yes, a judgment. Number 26, the federal government will require disclosure in a property of the known presence of. The federal government will require disclosure in a property of the known presence of. Time's up. And 73% of you are correct answering B, lead. It is the only federal requirement in our contracts, the lead paint disclosure. Number 27, which of the following is not an involuntary alienation of property? Which of the following is not an involuntary alienation of property? Ten seconds. Time is up. 58% of you correctly answered B for boy, a devise. A devise is another word for a will, which is a voluntary alienation. Number 28, liquidation of a loan in equal installments that include principal and interest is called. Ten seconds. Time's up. Whoops. And the answer is C, amortization. 83% of you got it correct. Good job. C is correct, amortization. 29, the procedure by which a party to a contract is fully discharged of all responsibility and another takes their place or his or her place with agreement by both parties is known as. 10 seconds. Time's up. It is called novation. 53% of us got it correct. Novation. Number 30. When a purchaser buys subject to an existing mortgage, when a purchaser buys subject to an existing mortgage, ten seconds. Time is up. And the answer to question 30 is 36% got it, and it is D. A new note or bond is drawn up establishing the debt responsibility between the purchaser and seller. No, it is not. Excuse me, just a second. Wait a minute. Let me read this. The answer to number 30 is B for boy. My mistake. I was reading it incorrectly. B for boy. It is the purchaser is not personally liable for the note or bond that the seller keeps in effect. It is B for boy. That was my mistake. I apologize. Crucify me. Don't kill me, please. Number 31. Compliance with the Lead-Based Paint Hazard Reduction Act is important to real estate agents because its regulations specifically require real estate agents to compliance with the Lead-Based Paint Hazard Reduction Act is important to real estate agents because its regulations specifically require real estate agents to 10 seconds. Time is up, and 69% of you correctly answered B, ensure compliance. Correct. We have to have that federal lead-based paint disclosure form filled by sellers and buyers, or landlords and tenants. Number 32, in a real estate advertisement that includes information on mortgage financing, which of the following is permissible under the Truth in Lending law without the necessity to add qualifying words? Didn't even start the timer, so see how we do. In a real estate advertisement that includes information on mortgage financing, which of the following is permissible under the Truth in Lending law without the necessity to add qualifying words? Ten seconds. And I'm going to say time's up. I forgot to run a timer on this one, but we're guesstimating. And from those who responded, 76% are correct, answering B, liberal terms available, All the others have triggering terms which require full-blown disclosures. B for boy does not. It is correct. Yes. Number 33. A court action brought to remedy a gap in the chain of title is called. You went over this with Miss Cora yesterday. A court action brought to remedy a gap in the chain of title is called. Ten seconds. Time is up. And from those who responded, C is correct. 43% of you called it a suit to quiet title. That is correct. 34. A listing contract in which the listing broker's commission is based upon procuring a buyer before the property is sold by the owner or another broker is, this was, if you recall, a week ago last Friday. Last Friday we talked about this in our listing contracts. A listing contract in which the listing broker's commission is based upon procuring a buyer before the property is sold by the owner or another broker is. Ten seconds. Time is up. And from those responding, 54% got it correct. It is a open listing. B for boy. 35. A purchaser. Okay, this is a math question. No time limit on this. I'll work with you after I give you a few minutes to figure it out. A purchaser buys a home for $102,000. She applies for an FHA mortgage loan and learns that the FHA will insure 97% of the first $25,000 of the purchase price and 95% of the balance. If the lender charges the purchaser 3 points, then how much cash will actually be advanced to the purchaser? Okay, not a lot of takers, it looks like, on this one. I'll give it another minute or so, see what you come up with. Okay, so let's bring up a whiteboard and work out the math on this. So the purchase price is $102,000, of which the FHA is going to insure 97% of the first $25,000. And then the balance, which would be $77,000, at 97%. That means 24,250 and 73,150. So the FHA is going to guarantee or provide funding for 95% of the first 25,000. So 25,000 times 95% equals $24,250. It said it will insure 97% of the balance. So 77,000, 102,000 minus 25 is 77,000. Times 97% is $73,150. Therefore, just as an aside, they're going to be furnishing $97,400 on the loan amount. Whoops. Sorry, boy. I hate using these stupid things to write something with. 97,400. Okay. Now, that means from 102,000, let me just draw a line here. 102,000 minus 97,400 equals 4,600 so far that the buyer has to put down. 4,600. But they also want 3 points on the loan amount. Therefore, $2,922 in points. 1 point is 1% of the loan amount, or $974 times 3, $2,922. Plus the 4,600 is $7,522 out of pocket the buyer must bring. So subtract 102 minus 7,522. If this is 0, 0, 0. Therefore, the buyer must bring $94,478. Once again, a woman's buying a $102,000 home, and the FHA will furnish out of that 95% of the first 25,000, or $24,250, and 97% out of the balance. 77,000 times 97% is 73,150. Together, that makes 97,400 that the FHA will provide so far. Now, 97,400 from 102 means the buyer has to put down so far $4,600, but also add 3 points of the loan amount of 97,400 for 2,922. Together, that makes up 7,522 and out of pocket, and subtracted 102,000 minus 7,522 equals 94,428. And that means that question had the answer was B for boy. And 37% of those who tried got it correct. So good job on the 30% or 37%. I'm not going to go run through that again. It's just a math question to test your math skills. There will be 2 more math questions on my review, just so you know. I'm not going to kill you with math today. All right, moving on. Number 36. The type of deed, I'm sorry, got to set my clock again. The type of deed that warrants only that the grantor has not impaired the title during the term in which he held it is referred to as a and again, you went over this with Miss Cora yesterday. The type of deed that warrants only that the grantor has not impaired the title during the term in which he held it is referred to as a ten seconds. Time's up. And 35% of you who did respond got it correct. C, bargain and sale deed with covenants against Grantors Act. C. 37. A woman died and left a 10-acre piece of land to her brother. This is a a woman died and left a 10-acre piece of land to her brother. This is a 10 seconds. Time's up. And from those responding, 2/3 of you got it correct. C, a devise. A gift left by a will is a devise. Another term for a will is the devise. Number 38. A bank that insists, whoops, I'm sorry. I'm just screwed up there. Oh boy, where'd it go? There it is, number 38. A bank that insists on a $20,000 down payment to purchase a $100,000 home requires a bank that insists on a $20,000 down payment to purchase a $100,000 home requires 10 seconds. Time's up. And since they're putting 20% down on the purchase price, then C is correct. 62% got 80% loan to value ratio. That is correct. Number 39. An in rem proceeding is directly associated with an in rem proceeding is directly associated with a 10 seconds. Time is up. And boy, we hardly had any responses on this question. And the answer is, of which 36% of you got correct, is a tax foreclosure. Remember, an in rem proceeding is when the municipality buys the tax debt, not a private investor. Number 40, the Truth in Renting Act does not apply to? The Truth in Renting Act does not apply to? Ten seconds. Time's up. And the answer is D for dog. 56% had properties with fewer than 3 rental units. That was correct. D. 41. Who is responsible for explaining to buyers the topics in the booklet, Your Home Loan Toolkit, a step-by-step guide? It's chilly, chilly, chilly. Once again, who is responsible for explaining to buyers the topics in the booklet, Your Home Loan Toolkit, a step-by-step guide? Ten seconds. Time's up. And 80% of you guys got it correct. B for boy, no one. Good job. 80%, that's great. Number 42. After borrowers have indicated an intent to proceed, the lender After borrowers have indicated an intent to proceed, the lender ten seconds. Time's up. The lender can ask for additional fees to process the loan application. 57% of you got D correct. You pay up your application fees and all that stuff, credit check fees. Make sure it's all paid for before closing occurs. Number 43. What is the maximum penalty for the first violation of the Federal Fair Housing Act? This is information from the 13th edition because the state of New Jersey is still testing on the 13th edition. What is the maximum penalty for the first violation of the Federal Fair Housing Act? Ten seconds. Oh man, it's cold. I gotta go set the heat at or break. Whew. And Time is up. And the answer was 52% got correct. D, $19,787. Number 44, a property. At the end of, okay, no time limit, it's a math question. A property at the end of 3 years was valued at $82,500. It had depreciated 2.5% during each of the 3 years. What was the original value? I didn't set my clock because there's no time on this question. I will work it out with you, believe me. And as always, we never do compounding on interest or percentage. It's always straight line. Okay, so let's see what we can come up with here. Whiteboard time. $82,500 represents the property's value after a loss of 2.5% per year for 3 years, or a total of 7.5% in lost value, which means 82,500 represents 92.5% of the original asking price, of the original sales price. So in order to get the original sales price, we take the 82,500 and divide it by 92.5%, and the original value was 89,189. And 40% of those who attempted to do the math got it correct. D for dog. Once again, 82,500 represents 2.5% loss per year for 3 years. So 82,500 divided by 92.5%, which represents the amount of value today versus the original amount. Divided equals 89,189. Number 45. What law prohibits racial discrimination in housing? All racial discrimination in housing with no exceptions. Whew, we got to put a coat on something soon. Got to get the heat working. What law prohibits all racial discrimination in housing with no exceptions? Ten seconds. Time's up. And only about 35% of us got it correct, and that is A, the Civil Rights Act of 1866. Prohibited racial discrimination on the basis of race, and is no exceptions to the Civil Rights Act of 1866. 46, which of the following is not an approach to value? Which of the following is not an approach to value? 10 seconds. Time's up. And 71% of us got it correct. Good job. It is C, the original cost of the owner. Doesn't matter what the original cost was. It's what it is worth today. C was correct. 47. The income capitalization, the income capitalized to determine value is the what income? Hmm. The income capitalized to determine value is ten seconds. Time's up. 44% are correct, answering C, the annual net income. Is the income capitalized to determine value? Correct. 48. Which of the following statements about the assignment of contracts is false? Hmm. Which of the following statements about the assignment of contracts is false? Ten seconds. Time's up. And 60% of you got it correct. C, in an assignment, the assignor is released of all reliability. That is false because the assigner is still responsible. Good job. 49. Oh boy, my mistake. Hold on. 49. The purchaser in a real estate sales contract breaches the contract and does not go through with the purchase. The contract stipulates that the seller may keep the earnest money. This is known as the purchaser defaults. Ten seconds. Time's up. And the answer is, of only which 17% of us got correct, is B for boy, liquidated damages. If the purchaser defaults, it's liquidated damages. If the seller defaults, it's compensatory damages. Number 50. Which of the following most accurately describes a property manager? Which of the following most accurately describes a property manager? Ten seconds. Time's up, and 66% of you got it correct. C, a fiduciary. Someone hired as a position of trust. Number 51. The approach that uses the concept of depreciation is the approach that uses the concept of depreciation is the 10 seconds. Time is up, and that approach would be the cost approach. 46% are correct answering the cost approach. 52, a math question. A woman sold her property for $150,000. She realized a 20% return on her investment. How much did she originally pay for the property? Okay, so let's go do the math here. Let's see how this works. So let me see the question again. I'm sorry. Woman sold her property for $150,000. She realized a 20% return on her investment. How much did she originally pay for the property? So $150,000 is what she sold it for, right? It had gained 20% since she purchased it. Therefore, $150,000 represents 120% of the original value. So $150,000 divided by 120% equals $125,000. Once again, she sold the property for $150,000 after realizing a 20% return on her investment. Therefore, the property now at $150,000 represents 120% of the original purchase price. So $150,000 divided by 120% equals $125,000. And 32% of those who tried to respond and got it correct. Good for you. Number 53. In two similar houses are for sale in a certain location, the one with the lower price is usually bought first. This is the principle of if two similar houses are for sale in a certain location, the one with the lower price is usually bought first. This is the principle of 10 seconds. Time's up. It is the principle of substitution. 46% of us got substitution correct. A. 54, the approach that allows for up and down adjustments to different properties to arrive at a value for a subject property is called the The approach that allows for up and down adjustments to different properties to arrive at a value for a subject property is called the 10 seconds. Time is up. And 69% of you got it correct. D, sales comparison approach. And for the last question for this morning's first half review, a property manager's responsibilities generally do not include which of the following? A property manager's responsibilities generally do not include which of the following? Ten seconds. All right, time's up, and we've concluded our first half of the review. The answer of which 91%, nicely done, is B for boy, investing profits. Good for you guys. All right, congratulations on the first half review. It's time for our break. I'm going to go see the Heat.